Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we just have some basic maintenance. We have a 2015 Chevy Sonic with a 1.8 liter engine. We're going to be changing the oil and the filter. Now this filter on this car is a little bit different than most of the other cars out there today. This one has what they call a canister filter, which means that you need to take the top of the canister off. You need to unscrew it, take it off, remove the insert inside there, change the O-ring, put the new filter back in, and then put the cover back on. You do need a special tool to do it. If you have the tool to do it, it's a 24 millimeter socket that you need to do it. If you don't, you can use a normal, I think it's a 15-16 socket to get it off. The reason I use these at the shop here is because these are actually a little bit shallow. You see how this is a very shallow, where a 15-16 socket is much deeper, probably 2 times as deep as this. It gives you a little more room to work when you have to get your hands in there and you can't get to it. So that's why I use them here at the shop. You know, we have a whole assortment for all of the different cars that we work on. But like I said, you can use a normal 15-16 socket. It's just maybe a little bit tighter where you're going to go. So enough talking. Let's get up there. I'm going to show you what to do. And then after the whole thing is done, I'm going to show you how to reset that maintenance reminder light that pops up on the dashboard telling you that you need to change your oil. So that's a very important part of an oil change too, is resetting your maintenance reminder to 100%. All right, let me bring you up there. I'll show you where it is and we're going to get started. Put your gloves on. You don't want to get your hands all oily and greasy, all right? Okay, so this is where it actually is located. Obviously, you know this is your engine. This is the weight oil you're going to use. You're going to use a 530 motor oil. And you'll see down inside here is where the oil filter, let's get a light in there so you can see. Down in here is where the oil filter housing is located. That's right inside here. All right, so we're going to get in there with that socket. We're going to take that cover off. We are going to put a rag down in there because once we get the cover off, it may drip a couple of drops of oil. Not a big deal, but you may have a little bit of oil there. All right, so I use a scribe to take the O-ring off, and then we put the new O-ring back on, and we're going to use clean oil to lubricate the O-ring before you put it back together. So, all right, let's get set up and let's continue. Okay, well, hopefully you can see what I'm going to do, but as you can see, I have my ratchet. I use a flexible head ratchet to get in there, but you could use an extension if you need to. And we just put it on the top of that nut, that plastic cover, and you break it loose, and then we'll unscrew it out as far as we can. Now remember, I said it's going to make a little bit of a mess, so you want to have a rag that you can actually catch the oil in. You can always clean it off later on, but that's just me. Alright, so we're just going to unscrew this. Now I do have a bucket down below, just so you know. And then we'll just take this out. We're going to grab our rag. And then we'll bring it out just like this. And then we'll take it over and we're going to change the O-ring right here. And we'll put the new filter in, so let's do that. Just pull this out like this, put it off to the side, and then the O-ring that we're going to be changing is right on here. What you do is just get in here with the scribe, a screwdriver, whatever you have. You just hook the O-ring just like this, and you pull it off, and you throw it away. You never want to use the old O-ring, you always put the new one on. Right? It's just me. I always clean off everything so that all of the road debris is off the unit itself. All right, now we're going to grab the new we're going to grab the new filter and we'll put that back together. Okay, once you've got your new O-ring, you just put it around just like this here, and you can either pull it on by hand or you can just hook it with a scribe and just work it all the way around into its groove where it belongs. Make sure it's down all the way. And now we're going to get us some clean oil, and we're going to put some clean oil right around on this O-ring over here. Okay, you don't need a lot. You're just going to put a little bit around on here just like this, right? I'm just going to clean my hand off for a second here. All right. Now the filter, you see this little piece on the filter right here? This has to go into here, and you'll feel it snap in just like that, and then we'll screw it back in down the bottom here. You only screw it in by hand. You don't put a ratchet on it yet. Screw it in as far as you can. And then once you get to a point where you can't screw it in any further, then you'll tighten it. Then you'll tighten it in with your ratchet. I just use a short stubby wrench to turn a ratchet to turn it in, and then I'll tighten it up the rest of the way with a longer ratchet. Now remember, you're screwing these. This is only made of plastic, so you don't want to over tighten it and break anything. So you're just going to snug it in there. Remember, the O-ring is what seals it off. All right. And we're just going to wipe off any excess oil, like this. And now we're going to lift the vehicle up, and we'll change the oil from the bottom. Okay. Now if you look underneath the vehicle, this is where your oil drain plug is located. This actually, it says 14 Newton meters to tighten it back up, so that's what we're going to do it to. The socket itself, you would think it would be a 10 millimeter because everything nowadays is metric. But in this particular case, believe it or not, 3/8 fits on there tighter, and it's less likely to strip out the drain plug. So we are going to use the 3/8, and we're just going to loosen it up. Now remember, it's always counterclockwise to open it, and clockwise to tighten it up. So we're just going to drain the oil out now. All right, so we're just going to let that drain out until it's totally empty. And once it's totally empty, then we'll come back and we'll put this drain plug back in. All right. Now, remember, it calls for Newton meters, but if you don't have a wrench to tighten it like that, you can use a conventional ratchet, of course. All right, so we're going to let that drain, and once it drains out, then we'll come right back. Okay, once the oil stops draining out, you can just screw your drain plug back in. You want to screw it in by hand first because you want to make sure you don't cross it. Now, like I said, if you have a meter and you want to set it with the proper torque specs, you can, or you can just snug it in there and then tighten it down just a little bit more. You want to wipe off any residual oil that's around the drain plug itself. And now we're going to lower it down and we'll put the oil in up top. Okay. Now after you lower the vehicle down, you always want to make sure that you use the correct oil in here. See how it calls for the 5W20? You want to always make sure you use the correct oil. All right? Now whenever I put the oil in, I always use a funnel just to avoid making a mess. Now if you're not sure how much oil goes in the car, you definitely want to check in your owner's manual just to see. But I did look on the computer and I know this takes 4.8 quarts. So we're going to put in about 4.5, and then we're going to check it to make sure that it's full. Okay. All right. And we'll just let the oil drain down all the way in. We're going to take our funnel out. Make sure you put your cap back on. And now before we do anything further, we're going to start the car and we'll let it circulate through the pump and through the engine, and then we're going to check our oil level. Okay, now after the oil is circulated through, we take our dipstick out, wipe the dipstick down, and then we're going to check the level to make sure it's full. Now as you can see, it's down just a little bit, so we are going to add a little bit more to it. It's always good to add that little bit extra instead of being overfilled. Okay, now we'll check it one more time. Remember, always wipe the stick down first. And as you can see, it's right to the full mark right now. All right, we'll take our oil cap is back on, nice and tight. Wipe any residual oil off. And we're going to check to make sure that there's no leaks in the filter area, down on the bottom, down over here where we were. And once we're finished there, we're going to go inside and we're going to reset the oil maintenance light. Okay, just so you know, this is the menu button that we're going to be using. And this one here, where it says set and clear, we're going to be using this one here at the same time too. So first thing we do is put the key in the ignition, turn the key to the on position, and then we press this button until it goes up to the oil life. Now you see how it's at 69%? And then what we're going to do is going to come over here and press this button here and hold it in. And hold it. And it resets to 100%. Alright, fairly easy. Again, you come into the vehicle, you press this menu button right here. You know what, let's close that door. Okay, we press this button, the menu button here, and it comes up to the oil life. Then you press this button on the end, and you hold it, and you listen for the bell to ring. And that's it, it reset. Alright, so now it's reset to 100%. That's it. Alright, you have any questions or comments, you want to talk to me about anything? Send me an email, I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching, see you on the next one.